What's going on, folks? It's your boy Manpreet, aka MMA Lock of the Night, and this is one of those segments where I'm going to be lumping in all of the segments that I do into one shot here for you guys. So if you guys listened to the MMA Lockcast earlier this week, you guys know that I am out visiting my in-laws for the next 2 weeks or so, and did not get to bring my webcam, but still got my audio equipment, so I'll at least be able to do the audio versions of these podcasts and segments for you guys. But in terms of dedicating enough time to actually spending time out here as well as staying on top of my work, I think the best thing for me to do for the next 2 weeks at least is to do these 4 segments that I do all in one shot for you guys, so it's nice and easy. You guys got the nice pretty graphics to go along with it as well, but I'm just going to rifle through these spots real quick for you guys. And again, it's the top 3 lock of the night candidates, top 3 dog of the night candidates, both of which you can find the official ones that I pick on the Patreon page. Make sure you check the link in the description below for that as well. And then I also got the free parlay for you guys, as well as my 3 best prop bets. I'm also going to be adding a new little add-on to the top 3 best prop bets that I got for you guys by adding a long shot parlay. So something that is plus 400 or more that I feel quite good about, because I'm starting to realize that a lot of the props that I'm giving out are, even money, nothing crazier than plus 200, it seems. I'm trying to get props that are the most likely to hit. Those are the top 3 that I normally give you guys, but I know a lot of you guys like to come by and actually look at or try to find a long shot that you can throw a small dart on and see how those go as well. So that's why I'm going to be adding that to that, and then I'll be tracking that in the description below of the 3 best prop bets videos as its own separate record, essentially, different from the top 3 best prop bets that I drop. Hopefully all that makes sense to you guys, so I'm not going to waste any more time. We're going to get right into these segments here, the first of which is the top 3 lock of the night candidates that I got for you guys. Obviously, the last lock of the night prediction I gave you guys for a UFC event was Nathaniel Wood, and I was very discouraged by his performance that night. Even though there were a lot of fouls, a possible point that should have been taken away, and a near finish at the end of that fight, that's not what a lock of the night play should be looking like. He should be dominating from minute 1 to either getting the finish or to go the full decision and it not look that hard at all. So very discouraged by that spot there. There are a couple other spots I probably should have taken instead, but it was a very chalk heavy card, and I felt good enough about Wood at that point in time. It just didn't end up paying off for us. On the regional scene, there were a couple of locks that we did end up hitting, especially on that off week. And that brings our record now to 89-31 for the year on Lock of the Night predictions for plus 18.85 units and a 3% ROI. Again, nowhere near the 50 unit goal that I had for this year for Lock of the Night predictions, but at least we're in the positive, and we still got about six UFC events left, and not to mention a plethora of other regional events to try to get us to that 50 unit mark by the end of the year, but definitely not where I wanted to be in November, considering where we're at. But again, glass half full, we're at profit here. All right, let's get into the top 3 lock of the night candidates here. The first one that I got for you guys is going to be Mark D. Keski, coming in at minus 190. Now, he was down closer to about minus 130 earlier this week, and it seems like a lot of people are jumping on that train, and I completely understand why, especially when you start to look into Cowie Fernandez, who will be making his UFC debut this weekend. Obviously, D. Keski is at a huge experience advantage here, but I also think that he can go back to going and using his grapple-heavy approach and wrestling approach that he used in that 2-fight winning streak that he had going on, where he was able to land 19 takedowns and control fights for 27 minutes out of the 30 minutes of cage time that he had. Fernandez is a BJJ brown or black belt, but a guy that likes to play off of his back a little bit too much, which was how he ended up getting his only loss. He has 2 quick finishes, which has gotten him to the UFC, but I just don't think that's enough for him to go out there and defeat an explosive fighter like DKC and then shuck off the takedown attempts that are going to be coming his way. So I think DKC is good enough to stop the takedowns and win that fight by decision, which is why he's my first lock of the night prediction. Second lock of the night prediction that I have for you guys, or candidate I should say, is going to be Vitor Patrino, who comes in at minus 240 as he goes up against Modestas Bukauskas. Last time around, we saw him take a grapple-heavy approach against his opponent, and he was able to get the finish in the last round of that matchup with a beautiful arm triangle choke. Normally, he is a guy that likes to go out there and put leather to faces and trying to knock his opponents out, but it's very encouraging to see him try to round out the rest of his game. I expect this fight to be somewhat competitive early with the output that we could see from Bukauskas, but I think the power and explosivity and speed of Patrino will be the difference maker here, which will eventually allow him to get that knockout victory, cashing him as a minus 240 favorite. A little bit chalky, but I think he's more than worth it considering what we've been seeing from him as of late, and that's why he's the second lock of the night candidate that I have for you guys. The third and final lock of the night candidate I have is the chalkiest of the three here, but I think Caio Borralho has set himself up in a very solid position here against Abus Magomedov. Magomedov is coming off his first main event loss last time around to now UFC middleweight champion Sean Strickland, but that was a fight where Magomedov really expected his power to pay off early, and when it didn't, he started to suck wind around that 4-minute mark, allowing Strickland to take over and then eventually getting him out of there with a barrage of punches in the second round. Magomedov is very explosive and tough to deal with early, but Borralho's grapple-heavy approach and intelligent wrestling game should allow him to get this fight to the ground, where he should be able to grind out Magomedov and eventually find a finish in the second or third round. At minus 280, I think that this is a very solid spot to trust Borralho to not get finished early and then eventually take over and get the finish himself. Reminder, if you want to find out which of those three I actually went as my official lock of the night prediction, make sure you guys check out the lock of the night Patreon page. Link to that is in the description below. All right, moving on to the top three dog of the night candidates that I have for you guys. Last time around, obviously, we went with Kamaru Usman, and it seemed he did enough in my eyes to at least warrant a draw. But at plus 250, I thought it was a very solid spot, especially considering the question marks that we have of Chimaev going up against higher levels of competition. Unfortunately, we take an L there, but we did get some couple dubs on the regional scene, which now pushes our dog of the night record to 51-70 on the year for plus 5.97 units and a 5% ROI. The dog hunting continues, and I feel pretty good about a couple of the spots that I have for you guys this weekend. And we'll go over that right now. Top three dog of the night candidates that I have for you guys is going to start off with Angela Hill at plus 130. She goes up against Denise Gomez, who in my opinion should be able to go out there and Hill, I should say, should be able to go out there and really nullify the forward heavy approach that we usually see from Denise Gomez in terms of the heavy strikes she likes to throw and some of the takedown attempts she likes to implement. I think Gomez has looked pretty good over her last couple of fights, but we've seen some holes in her game that I feel an experienced fighter, a 28-fight veteran like Angela Hill, should be able to take advantage of. With her volume, footwork, and outside striking approach, I expect her to cut off the heavy forward movement of Denise Gomez, maybe even shuck off a couple of takedown attempts that are inevitably going to come her way or even get back to her feet. But I think at plus 130, Angela Hill is a very solid spot to go out there and pull off the upset victory. Second dog of the night that I have for you guys here is going to be a short notice spot here in Kanan Keski as he steps in for Esteban Ribovics and goes up against Elvis Brennen. He comes in at plus 180 here, but this is a fighter that may not, or seemingly coming in on short notice, but apparently he's been training and been ready ever since a couple days after he earned his Contender Series contract back, I believe that was in September. But this fighter is one of the most UFC-ready fighters I've seen on the Contender Series in recent years. He does a very good job in terms of utilizing his combination striking approach and also just trading in the fire with his opponents, utilizing counters very well, and often hitting and capitalizing on his opponents overextending on their shots. He also has a very sneaky submission game. I believe he's a BJJ black belt as well. The only kind of flaw that I'd say in his game is that sometimes if his opponents look to grapple him effectively, they're able to keep him on the ground, and his process to work back to his feet is not the greatest. But at plus 180, I think he holds most of the advantages in this matchup over Brennen, other than the fact that he was actually preparing for this fight as long as Brennen has been. However, at plus 180, like I said, I think Keski Keski is the better fighter here, and I would happily take a shot on him at these odds, which is why he is the second dog of the night candidate I have for you guys. The third and final dog of the night candidate I have for you guys is a very slight underdog here at plus 100 in Armen Petrosian. He's in a grappler versus striker matchup here going up against Rodolfo Vieira, and I believe that Petrosian is one of the better fighters that we've seen come from a kickboxing realm and acclimate to the MMA game so well. He does a great job with his striking, with his combinations, and being very disciplined in terms of ensuring that his opponents, if they do get to a dominant position, he nullifies the amount of damage that they're able to inflict from on top. Also, his submission defense is very stellar, especially considering some of the deep submissions that we saw Gregory Rodriguez get him into. But I think Petrosian can showcase a good enough defensive grappling game here and possibly even good enough takedown defense so the fight doesn't even hit the mat against Vieira, allowing him to outstrike the almost incapable striking game of Vieira, which will potentially set up a finish for Petrosian in the second or third rounds as Vieira starts to slow down. And that's why Petrosian is going to be the final dog of the night candidate here. And a reminder, if you want to figure out which of those three I actually went with as my official dog of the night prediction, make sure you guys check out the Patreon page for the lock of the night, link in the description below. And there you guys have it. All right, final two segments coming right at you here. We got the Locky two-step. The first leg is going to be Mr. Mark Casey as he takes on Kawi Fernandez, and I kind of already broke it down at the top of the show here, or the top of the segment. I believe his grappling will be too much for Kawi Fernandez, allowing Casey to grind this out over 15 minutes and get his hand raised by decision. The second step of the Locky two-step is going to be Gabriel Bonf, as he is far superior to Nicholas Dalby. Obviously, Dalby has an experience advantage over him, and he's had way more UFC time or cage time than Bonf has, but Bonf is making short work of a lot of his opponents, showcasing that he's very dangerous in almost every aspect of MMA. In the past, it's usually been his BJJ that has gotten him his wins, but his striking is so crisp and smooth that it's often put opponents into positions where they shoot for desperation takedowns, allowing Bonf to snatch onto their neck and take it on home with him. All of his wins in the UFC has come very quickly, and I expect him to continue that trend this weekend against a very fragile Nicholas Dalby, and I'm expecting the striking advantage for Bonf to translate into another grappling advantage that he will be able to pull off a submission victory over Nicholas Dalby in the co-main event. If you put those two steps together for the Locky two-step, you're looking at minus 132. You want to complete the Locky Trinity, you throw in Mr. Caio Borralho, who I've already broken down earlier in this segment, as he should go out there, weather the early storm of Abus Magomedov, and that should allow him to go out there and grind this fight out and eventually get a finish in the second or third round. You throw in Caio Borralho, you get plus 134 on that Locky Trinity. All right. The final segment here for you guys, the three best prop bets. Last time around, we went 0 of 1 on props. And yes, you heard me right, 0 of 1, because two of the props that I had for you guys actually ended up being a push. We had the Javid Basharat fight against Victor Henry, obviously go out there and become a no contest due to the accidental shot to the nuts of Victor Henry. And then the Magomed Ankalaev fight, which was also a no contest due to, just a miscommunication, it seemed, between the referee and Johnny Walker. But the only prop that we actually had result was Nathaniel Wood. I had him by decision on minus 105. That does not come through for us. So I got another three for you here, and I feel damn good about these spots. I'd be very surprised if we don't go 3 for 3. Even more surprised if we don't go for 2 for 3. So let's get to it. Mark Casey by decision at plus 145. You guys have already heard me break this down earlier in the segment. You should go out there, weather the early storm of Kawi Fernandez, stay out of the submission attempts, and then grind this fight out over 15 minutes. Plus 145 for a path to victory that Casey normally comes through with. I'm down to take a shot on that. The second best prop bet that I got for you guys is going to be Vitor Patrino inside the distance at minus 115. Another fight I broke down for you guys earlier in the segment. I expect his power, speed, and explosiveness to be too much for Bukauskas here, allowing Patrino to go out there and get a big win by getting the knockout, probably probably in the second round of this fight. And then lastly, Kyle Bahayo inside the distance at -120. Again, another fight that I broke down at the top of the segment here. Whether the early storm of Abus Magomedov utilizes grapple heavy approach and open up a finishing opportunity for himself in the second or third round. The long shot prop that I got for you guys is going to be Kyle Bahayo by KO, which currently sits at +400. Obviously, with his grappling advantage, most people would expect him to go out there and seek a submission. But considering the cardio disadvantage that Magomedov will be at and kind of the wear and tear that we'll be seeing from him, maybe he'll give up a back position here where Bahayo can just posture up and rain down some big shots. Usually when opponents have a grapple or a grappling advantage over his opponents, it's kind of a pick and choose between submission or KO, depending on if they can assert their dominant position. And I fully expect Bahayo to do that. And then once he gets that back position or that full mount position, it's just a matter of time before he either chooses a submission, which pays out around that +225 range, if I'm not mistaken, or a KO, which pays off at +400. I'm willing to take the stab here at +400 as the long shot. All right, there you guys go. All 4 segments broken down for you guys in a timely fashion, just under 15 minutes or so. Reminder, we'll be back next week for UFC 295. The MMA Lawcast will drop for you guys on Monday, and then probably Thursday or Friday, I'll drop this 4-in-1 segment for you guys, just going over all of these spots that I got for you guys. All right. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys bearing with me during my mini vacation here visiting the in-laws. But I'm still happy to get this content out for you guys. And obviously the regional stuff that I got for you guys. As I'm recording this, LFA 171 is going down. You guys obviously can find those breakdowns on the Lock of the Night Patreon page. And then next week we're going to have Cage Warriors. So if you want breakdowns on the Cage Warriors fights, you can check out the breakdowns on the Patreon page there as well. All right. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. And I'll see you guys again next week. Peace.